Hey everyone, it is Kevin Henry, the founder of the Dental System Nation and host of the Dental System Nation podcast. Honored today to be joined by Suzanne Cano, who is the founder of LunaLite. Suzanne, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I just had you on as a guest for Dr. Bicuspid, where we talked a lot about LunaLite, and I want to encourage everybody to find that. We're going to put that in the show notes so it's easy for you to find. But I'm anxious to talk to you a little bit about your dental assisting past, what LunaLite is, how that's going to impact dental assistants. So give us a little background on you before we dive into some of the topics today, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me on the show. So kind of going into my background as a dental assistant, I started off in no experience, and I'm originally from Chicago, and I started off in a small dental office, and the doctor didn't want to hire me because I was I was going to be 16 years old, and I was already looking for a job. And I realized that no one was applying for the position except for me. So he had to hire me, and so I stayed on with him for several years, and I learned a lot as a dental assistant. First for customer service, I didn't know any customer service. I learned obviously dental clinical aspect, and then I was put into like admin role as well, which most dental assistants do. We're doing like floater types of jobs,
Yep.
and then on procedures. I learned that doctors can be very finicky about how they want everything set up. So I really learned that very early on. I also learned how to take x-rays, which I was really terrible at taking. I think that was the worst thing that you could ask me to do. And every time someone came in to get x-rays done, I was always like on pins and needles because it was like, oh no, my worst thing, I think taking x-rays. And if I wasn't taught in school, I didn't go to school for dental assisting, so I was on job training. This laboratory we could show me, here's the formatted and there was no paralleling technique at that point. And so you take the shot and so that a mess. And this is coming back from the days of film and I had to like develop the film and that was a whole great mess too, from the development to, cleaning out the film system and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So that's a little bit of my background for dental assisting. Kind of just like left that for sales. My first sales job was digital radiography.
And I love that, you have that dental assisting background, and obviously now you're the founder of LunaLite. So I want everybody to know what LunaLite is, and then, tell me a little bit about how your background as a dental assistant, how that's helped you understand maybe some of those pains that dental assistants are going through with this.
Yeah, so LunaLite is the company or the device itself is an X-ray positioner. So what I did was, I knew that there were angles that were taught in dental school how to take dissecting techniques. So these are the angles that were given to you, and you have the preliminary numbers, and you kind of can position your X-ray unit and can figure out, that's the 45-degree versus straight and whatnot. It's not that easy to figure it out because it's hard to figure out what a 45 degree is to a 35. So it was really difficult. So Google is really taking the best work out of a bisecting technique. So it's a little device that you put around the X-ray unit and it has a laser. So that laser helps you position the device. You choose the angle that you need. So if you're doing an upper lower, you choose it, you click it, there's 9 angles in them, including right wings. Once you click it and you start to position, the laser light will let you know that you're at that 45 degree that you're needed to take that X-ray. And so as a dental assistant, I understood that it also is not going to be a hard 45, 30, because we have different size patients. So we have bigger patients, smaller patients. So I had to give the actual device that 10-degree variance where it would be flexible so that we can keep the laser on within a 10 degree because we have to adjust for the patient's cells and whatnot. I really believe that my background when taking x-rays really helped me understand the development of the LunaLite device and what was really needed.
And I asked you on the previous podcast if being a dental assistant is the reason why you came up with LunaLite, and you had a really surprising answer, but I loved it. So I wondered if you might share the background behind the genesis of LunaLite with our audience as well.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting to develop anything. So I was pretty okay with working with imaging companies. training and training and being part of the sales process as well, being in sales. I had a really interesting or crazy dream like six years ago, and I woke up dreaming that I was drawing this device. So when I woke up, I started drawing the device that I dreamt about. And because I'm very faith-based, I believe in God, and God is really what really keeps me going. And really, I focused in on this dream, and I had to pray about it. I asked God, I said, "Is this something that you want me to do?" Because I felt there was such an energy, and it was like a message almost. And I had many, many dreams in my life, but this one was very strong. And I prayed about it, and I asked God to show me a sign. Do you want me to go through with this? Show me a lizard, a green lizard. I don't know why. But next morning, I was having a cup of coffee on my front porch. There was this little green lizard sitting on my front porch, looked up at me and just ran off. And I said, "Oh my God." And that's how it started. It started by faith. And when I started the production, it was really, like I said before, there's a lot of goals out there, and I didn't know what I was really doing. And I was taken advantage by a couple of companies. And every time that would happen, I would see I was being reminded by a green lizard the promise that God gave me to really flourish through it. And then once I got through that, I still continued to see the lizard along the journey, whether it was the Geico commercial, whether it was like me driving a billboard with a lizard. Something is showing me that God was wanting me to walk through this path in this journey.
I think we all need those little taps every once in a while to remind us we're going down the path that we need to be. And I think every dental assistant listening to this looks for those taps sometime along the way as well, especially on those days that maybe aren't as fun inside the dental practice.
Right.
How important is it to have, in your opinion, to have that faith, to have that, good day, bad day, wolves, as you said, that you may be battling, to have that faith as kind of the center of what you do?
It's extremely important for someone that's faith-based. So for me, that's the whole purpose of the company. It's not really about the product. It's not really about the product. It's not about me. I just really grabbed I was a conduit, and I took the information. There really is a testimonial to people that if you're open enough to faith, the faith will come to you, and you're able to really hone in on what you're supposed to do with the purpose of your life. Moving forward with that, I think faith is extremely should be important to everyone. But at the end of the day, everyone has different ideas about that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's split in faith.
And, one thing that I love that you and I have talked has been that, obviously you had this idea and you pursued it. And I think there are a lot of dental assistants out there who have ideas during the course of the day. What advice would you have for them if they see something, come up with something? How do they make that into a reality like you have?
Yeah. So honestly, I think assistants or anyone in the clinical field are intuitively just natural innovators. And I think it's important that if you have an idea, write it down. It starts with like pen and paper, getting that idea, writing it down, and just consistently keep like watering this idea. It really is like a plant or a flower or whatnot, because you really have to keep watering it in order for that idea to keep coming through. And I believe that it's meant to be that idea keeps coming back at your head. Somehow you keep going back to that idea. There's something to be said about that. So I believe that first you write it down and draw it if you need to, write it down. Explain to yourself how you see it being worked. How is it going to work? How do you think it would work? And then answer the questions all the time. So if you're like doing some kind of, I don't know, you're in a clinical room with the doctor and you're thinking about the idea, if this was my device, how would I create it? And I think that correlating that with, pulling something really allows the end user to look at something and say, okay, this is how I might be able to change this. So I believe that writing it down, then it makes really strong. Then when you really want to see it come to life, find a CAD designer, go to Upwork. There's a lot of independent people that help people out. Now, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be expensive if you do decide to go into that house. But I
Mhm.
do believe it's a good idea, and you believe it's a good idea, and you know it's a good idea because you've been doing so many cases and you know that something could change. Then I say go for it. Then that's why I would start. Definitely start off with writing it down and have a goal with it.
I look at your product and you and I have talked, it's a little bit of a disruptor in this industry. It's doing things a little differently. Is that something that was nerve-wracking to you? Knowing that you were kind of going to go against the grain a little bit, what has been taught always with this product, or is that something that kind of invigorated you as this has gone on?
Yeah, it was very invigorating because I have worked for other company startups and we were always launching like new products that were gonna really shake up the system. So I was already prepared and see how God was already preparing me. So I've been in imaging for almost 15 years. I understood systems. So he was basically teaching me how everything was working. I had no clue until I started developing my own device. So I knew it was going to be a disruptor and I was excited. I still am excited about it, but I know that this is going to take time before people start to look at it and say, okay, well, I'm really liking this. I love the idea. How do we work with that? Now, once they get it in their hands, it's a whole different ball. If I ever go back.
So if a dental assistant's listening to this and they're like, you know what? I'm like her. I don't like x-rays. That is part that kind of makes me nervous as well. How do they talk to the doctor about bringing in new technology or changing the way maybe that something's done for the better in the practice?
Yeah, so I think for the most part, this customer experience, like patient experience, I should say. So I think it's important that we find systems and technology that are going to make our patients feel comfortable. Because that's the one thing that we hear across the board is most patients don't like taking x-rays. They don't want to do it. It hurts. Let's find a new way of taking x-rays that won't give the patient of that experience. And I think any doctor that could hear that and any assistant that could present that to the doctor, I think it's definitely would be a good to go for the doctor.
Well, let's make sure they know how to find out about LunaLite and anything that maybe we didn't touch on that you think might be of interest to the dental assistants whenever it comes to this new technology that you're working with. And also, I'd love to know what's going on with the company, next steps for you all right now.
Yeah, so next steps for us, the next phase is going to be the mouthpiece. So the mouthpiece that we are developing currently is patent pending. It's a mouthpiece that's going to basically it's going to be like a snap array, but it's also going to have a Wi-Fi. So Luna might send a Wi-Fi, the mouthpiece send a Wi-Fi. And so when you place the actual mouthpiece and the sensor in the mouth, whether it's sensor, phosphor plate, film, it doesn't matter. It's what's going to matter is the LunaLite is going to detect where that film is at, so we're going to be able to center it. Once we find where that, that mouthpiece is at in the mouth, at the end of the stick itself, there, or the mouthpiece, I should say, there's going to be a little light that will turn on to detect that it's been now followed, even on TV. That's right. So it's going to let us to know we have now centered it, we can take the shot.
Very cool. And where do they learn more about the product? Let's make sure that our assistants know how to keep up with this and maybe learn more about it for their own practice.
Yeah, they can go to LunaLiteDental.com and they can also take a look at our training videos. So we have some training videos in the tab, but that's where they can find me. They can also find my email if they want to reach out to me.
And absolutely, we're going to put all this in the show notes so it's easy to find. But Suzanne, thanks so much for joining. I always enjoy chatting with you, and I think that this is something that's going to benefit a lot of assistants and patients out there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening. I know this was a little bit different episode. We don't often talk products here, but whenever I heard this was a former dental assistant who has something that's going to help dental assistants have better days, we had to bring it on the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. So until next time, Kevin Henry, host of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast, signing off, wishing you nothing but success ahead.